everyone tuning in to the very first episode of our podcast series. A very warm welcome to you, Siddhant. Before we
Thank
dive
you.
into this conversation, let me quickly tell you about what we do at NUTS. So, Nuts.in is India's fastest growing speakers and experts platform with over 3,000 plus voices of value on board. We are facilitating conversations across organizations, corporates, educational institutions, and non-profit organizations. Today, we have a voice of value, Siddhant Digvijay Jaitha, with us. We are very excited to learn from his journey and take back meaningful insights. Welcome, Siddhant. So,
Thank
let
you so much. Yeah, thank you so much, Namrata. It's lovely chatting with you and the Nuts team. So thank you so much for the kind introduction.
Let me give you a quick introduction about Siddhant. Siddhant Digvijay Jaitha is the director at Atherton Engineering, working in India's aircraft and spare parts import space. Alongside aviation, Siddhant has founded brands like Crunch and Munch, which is a healthy snack brand, and The Home Story, a home decor brand. He's also the author of Life is a Roller Coaster Ride and Live Life the Healthy Way, a TEDx speaker, a lifestyle influencer, and a podcast host. Beyond work, he is involved in social initiatives, particularly supporting children with cancer. We are really glad to have you here with us today. So, before
Thank you so
we
much.
dive into the questions, uh, I'd like to set up some context. So, as we know that you are a fourth generation entrepreneur, so when people
Yeah.
hear that, they might imagine privilege and ease. So, what is the part of the story that people don't usually see?
You know what? When we talk about legacy, it's something people think that it's coming down generations, but they don't see the hustle also. To keep up the expectations of what your forefathers have achieved, your grandfather, your father, they've achieved in their own period. So that's a very added pressure. And sometimes you think, are you worthy enough, to carry that kind of a legacy? But then again, when someone takes on a legacy, they need to also see how they evolve because every personality is different. You cannot have the same personality as what my father had or my grandfather had. So when someone gives such a big responsibility, you need to make sure that you're worthy enough, you are evolving. You should also expect that you bring positive changes in your own leadership styles because everyone's leadership styles is different. So I believe that it's an added pressure, of course, but everyone has their own journey, and you want to build something which you can give it to your kids and something very strong so they continue your journey. So yes, of course, it is an added pressure when you talk about legacy.
Okay, that's an interesting take. Not many of us know about this side of the story.
Right.
So, our next question is about aviation. So, how do you see India's aviation ecosystem evolving over the next decade, for example? And what are we yet unprepared for, according to you?
There's India aviation is just expanding. We're going to see like a boom and a massive expansion, especially in the regional connectivity, in terms of more people, private aircrafts coming in, and more people joining the aviation sector. So it's only going to be growing. So it's got a very bright future ahead.
Right. So, as we all know that in aviation, like precision, responsibility, these factors are non-negotiable. So how has
Right.
that kind of an environment influenced the way you think about leadership or discipline or risk taking, particularly in business?
I think leadership has taught me in terms of respect for your people, respect for responsibility, respect for the systems. I feel that now I take more calculative risk, more than emotional risks, which I used to take, and now I make sure I double check every box before I say yes to something, and you should always not avoid, I think, the signals of warning. You should always be calculative in whatever you decide because everything comes with a cost, and you're not here in terms of risking other people's investments or your own investments. So I think everything should be very calculative in terms of whatever you're backed by, in terms of the survey you do, your study you do, whatever you've learned. Everything should be backed by good evidence before you take that risk.
Okay. That is really insightful.
Yes.
Uh, Now I want to move on to a very personal part of your journey,
Yeah.
which is your health journey. So
Yeah.
you were diagnosed with type 2 diabetes. I want to ask you, how did it feel like for you at that moment?
I can't tell you that whole journey. It still gives me goosebumps, whenever I think
Right.
about it. I think I just let go of my life. There was a point I just let loose, and I thought that, after marriage, especially, that, now I feel that your life is over. Now, you're just living your life, just, eating anything. Because at all my school life, I was very athletic. I was into sports. I used to play probably every sport. But then I don't know, I don't know if it's a phase or it's like my transition from Bombay to Calcutta, because I'm not from Calcutta, I'm born and brought up in Bombay. So, it's the whole journey, I think, the whole shift probably took a toll on me. And, till today, it's difficult to accept that I have moved to a new city. Not complaining, I've made a lot of friends, I have good corporate clients, I have, everything has been good. I've got two beautiful daughters. So everything is good, but I think when I talk about and I look back at my journey of diabetes, more than it was alarming because there came a point where even if I took 5 steps, I could not breathe. I was like heavy breathing, and then when you look at that, I have two children. I want to be a role model because every daughter looks up to their father as their role model. So that also kept playing at the back of my mind, and yeah, I think that really shook me as a person. I said, now I need to get back to track.
That must have been really difficult to deal with.
Right. Yeah.
So, was there a specific moment in that time? It may be a conversation or even a realization where you felt like things had to change, even if you didn't know how at that point of time.
Yeah, as I told you, like when I became almost 106 kgs, which was really obese from my standard weight, which used to be about 65 to 68 kgs. So you can imagine I put on almost 35, 40 kgs. And that automatically changes you as a person as well. You become less confident. When you look at the mirror, also, you don't want to look at the mirror. There was a time I never used to look at the mirror, just have a shower, put on my clothes, go to work. I never used to look, there were days I never used to look at myself also, because you were nervous. I wouldn't say nervous, but you weren't confident enough to see yourself, and you wouldn't want to see yourself because you've never seen that side of yourself. So that also, and I have a very nice family physician, Sadiq, which he guided me in a very nice way in terms of helping me understand, because obviously I'm not getting younger, and I think none of us are getting younger, but by every year, your metabolism changes in your system, and you need to accept that, and you need to work double hard, in terms of getting back into track. So, it was actually a tough journey, but I made it a point that I took, because my willpower is actually very strong. If I decide something, I'll make sure that I will do it. So that is something, and of course, with the guidance of my family doctor, it really helped me and I got back to track. So, yeah.
That's incredible. Like, willpower really changes everything then.
Right. And also, not only that, also like there were a lot of other factors, there were a lot of changes which I made to
Mhm.
myself, in terms of my sleeping habits, my clean eating habits. I became more mobile, I used to, not sit in one place. I
Mhm.
used to walk around, even if I didn't find a park or a treadmill or a gym, if I didn't have time due to work, I used to make sure that I'm always walking around, my movement is always there, which is very important, I think in today's time, that you should always be mobile, just don't be stagnant. I think that also really helps.
Okay. So fitness was always your
Yes.
domain. Like even
Right.
before that, you were athletic, as you mentioned.
I was very athletic,
Mhm.
In fact, I was a red belt in Taekwondo, and
Wow.
I still do. I still do. I've got this one weapon called nunchaku, which I've been doing it. I used to be doing it from the age of 7. So whether it's like basketball, football, lawn tennis, I MMA, taekwondo, kickboxing. I probably played every sport in the book, swimming, you name it, and I was a part of almost everything. And also in the teams, in my inter-school teams and all, I was always very active also.
Right. So you reversed your diabetes in just 10 months, which is super incredible. So
Yeah.
what are three non-negotiable lifestyle changes according to you, which made the biggest difference?
Like I said, like the food habits,
The fitness.
especially your food habits.
Hmm.
Yeah, the food habits, what I used to do, I did a very smart thing. So what I used to do was I used to play with the ingredients and not kill my cravings. Suppose I'm craving a pizza, I'll make sure that I'm using a homemade ragi roti and making a homemade tomato puree. And instead of cheese, I used to put tofu and, play with the ingredients basically. I became lactose free also. I stopped all milk products during my thing. Luckily, I was not into insulin. I was just into medication, so that was something very fortunate because people who have insulin, they cannot take long gaps when they have their meals. They have to have in shorter intervals. But also one thing which really helped me was my intermittent fasting, which I used to do almost a 16-hour fast, which really also helped me. So yeah, of course, clean eating was one of them. Being mobile, as I said, exercising, being more just movement, basic movement. And probably I used to have a step tracker also, which I used to do almost 20,000 steps a day. Even if I used to not use my house elevator, I used to go up and down the stairs. So any kind of movement really helped me a lot. And of course, my sleep patterns also really improved. Before, my sleep patterns were all over the place, but now I make sure that I at least get good 7 to 8 hours of good sleep.
So food, fitness, and sleep, they are like non-negotiable, right?
Non-negotiable. Yeah, yeah, 100%.
Right. So as your health and mindset gradually changed, so how did that start showing up in the way you worked and led?
I think I became more confident, no, because obviously when you lose almost about 35 kgs of weight, you're automatically, you feel more energetic. You feel like doing your mind works more sharper, you have a different mindset altogether, So I think energy plays a really big part. And also in terms of the way I'm planning now in my office, sitting with my team, doing my thorough marketing with them, if I have any kind of meetings with them, it's more positive based, I would say. It's something which has really helped me is like the positivity is coming out, and I'm feeling lighter also. As a person. When you so I think overall it impacts your entire personality. I see, and I think it's a very positive change which has really happened for me. So yeah.
Yes. So my next question is about your brand, the healthy snack brand, Munch and Crunch. So could you tell us more about that?
So Crunch and Munch is a brand which I started while COVID. Everyone is sitting at home. They didn't know what to do. We could not go to work. We couldn't do anything. But and COVID also unfortunately saw so many losses
Mhm.
due to the lack of immune system in people. So I thought that when I was also facing type 2 diabetes, I realized that eating is really important. And eat good eating. Clean eating. And snacking plays a really big factor. A lot of people have midnight cravings. You go outside, you travel, you pick up a pack of chips, like fried chips and things like that. So I thought that, because it's such a big industry and people are always craving to eat munchies, so why not bring a flavor which is not boring? At the same time, it has clean ingredients, no artificial flavoring, no pesticides, just clean ingredients. So that is when I started this brand called Crunch and Munch, and we started with about 4 to 5 variants when we started, but today I can proudly say we have more than 25 SKUs, and I'm available in almost 8 cities. Which we've really expanded because our vision is to make this a national brand. Um, and I'm more for local for vocal. So, I would make sure that, get more employment also, hiring, workers who are inclined towards clean eating. Also we have a team who looks after in terms of all the kind of ingredients also going into our products. So I think, yeah, that's when I started it, as my own personal journey because I wanted to change the snacking industry in India.
So basically, it's about healthy snacking, which is guilt-free.
Yes. Guilt-free, correct.
Guilt-free, right?
Yes.
So my next question is about the industries you work in. So you work in
Yeah.
a many different industries. So how do you mentally switch between industries that are so different from starting from planes to snacks to home decor? How do you manage that?
See, I feel no matter whichever industry you are in, the intention is the same. I wanted to create a value beyond profits, something which always gives something different to people. And I've been always a person that I'll follow my passion, like when I was studying abroad also, I used to be fond of cooking. So, I found like my brand called Buna Comida also is a cloud kitchen brand, which I have. It's mainly into Lebanese and Mexican cuisine. But these were the recipes I was building out there, and I wanted to do something different in Calcutta. So basically, all my startups, whether you talk about Home Story or Crunch and Munch or Buna Comida or my fashion label called the House of SDJ, which is a capsule collection of my brand, which is a luxury streetwear brand. So everything came out of passion, but I felt that everything has it's a different way of expressing it, but it is the same intention, to bring something new and to try and change probably people's lives also in a way, because everything comes towards just one thing, and that is to add value to people's lives,
Okay, so this was the driving factor for all of the industries you worked in,
all
basically,
of the industries. Yes.
right? Now I'd like to ask you about your your voice, which shows up through business, music, books, podcasts, social work. So how did each one of this become a part of your journey trigger?
Yeah, as I said, every platform, is just a different expression of the same intention. If we talk about business builds impact, music actually touches emotion, books share perspective, podcast share stories, and in fact, social work also shares responsibility. So everything boils down to the same thing, as I said, So yeah, so it's just to basically add more value towards people's life beyond the profits.
Right. I'd like to end our conversation with the last question, which is your advice to young people. So, personally, I am 21 right now, and people my age, we are very indecisive about what career to choose, which path to go to. We are ambitious, but at the same time overwhelmed and trying to figure life out. We are at that phase. So, what is one habit or one belief that you wish you had embraced earlier? And what is one thing that you wish that we as youngsters who are so confused, we'd stop being so hard on ourselves about?
Honestly, if I had to give a message to the youngsters, probably it's probably taken me over years. I'm 43 now, so it's when I was in my 20s. I was probably very, as you said, very impatient. With taking decisions and things like that. But I think over a time, you learn with experience. You have failures. And I always say that failures are basically a stepping stone towards success. So, you should never get disheartened. Be patient, keep at it. Consistency plays a big role. I feel that in today's time, people are not very consistent, so they need to be, I think, consistent, keep showing hard work, with whatever field you are in. You will not probably see today, you might not see success, but over a gradual period of time, you will see results, so you need to give that time. Like as I said, today if I had type 2 diabetes, I could not expect I to recover or reverse it the next day. You have to give time. Everything has to have a proper time. And I think the kids today, especially the youngsters, I see they are, probably when I was 20 and I would think like, taking a risk, I would think 100 times. But I see kids today, the Gen Zs of today, they're so quick, they have so much more guts, to take any kind of risk. If they want to, they believe in something, they're passionate about something, they're ready to go for it. And I think that's a very positive thing as well. But I suggest that whatever risk you'll take, be calculative. As I said earlier, be calculative and do a thorough ground check. Do your proper due diligence in terms of any kind of field you choose, you are passionate about. And I'm sure that, if you have that inner calling, which is really telling you should try and do that, you should definitely then do it. But
Right.
always back it with evidence.
Right. That is a very good advice that I, as a youngster who is kind of stepping into my career,
Yeah.
would need. So,
Yeah.
can we like quickly go through the rapid fire round?
Yes, yes, I'd love. But am I getting a hamper also or just nothing if I answer well?
So, you will have around 10 seconds to answer the question.
Okay, let's see.
Okay.
Okay, great.
So, first question, one habit that changed your life.
Daily discipline over daily motivation.
Right. A belief you unlearned.
A belief that I unlearned that, wait, let me think of this. A belief that I unlearned. I believe that nothing can happen to me.
Right.
I'm invincible.
A failure you're grateful for.
I'm grateful that, I had type 2 diabetes
Mm,
because that really taught me, to, never take anything for granted
right.
in life.
A book everyone should read once.
So I would say it's my new book. It's called Belief, The Power Within, which I've written recently. And it is available on Amazon. So that's a nice positive read. It's all about positivity. So that's my current favorite read. I enjoyed writing it, in fact. So yeah.
Right. One thing you want to slow down in life for.
This would be a no-brainer because one thing I'd actually want to slow down is time with family and my daughters, which I hardly get time to spend quality time with them. So this is something, I think as a father, you are attached, especially if when you have two daughters, you're very attached and would like to give more quality time to them. So yeah, if time slows down, this is something I'd love to do.
Right. So we're done with the questions, Siddhant. It was wonderful speaking to you. Do you have anything else to share with us?
No, thank you, Team Nuts. I think you guys are doing a fantastic job, and it's really nice to see people such as yourself. Y'all are young, y'all are energetic, and y'all are bringing so much new to the table. So it's always nice to connect with people like yourself and the entire team. In fact, Nikhil and his own vision also is very nice, and he's also trying something different in his own way. So congratulations, kudos to your whole team. And thank you for doing this podcast. It was truly, truly enjoyable for me.
Thank you so much. To everyone listening, thank you for spending this time with us. If something from today stayed with you, take a moment to reflect on it and how it shows up in your own life and work. And with that, I'd like to end our podcast.